Take it slow, where you go, I go too. And if you Hi creatives, you're welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I'll be teaching you guys how to cut and sew this cowl neckline top. I'll be using a chiffon fabric for this, so let's go ahead and draft out our pattern. I'll place my tape on my shoulder line, which is the start of this pattern paper, and I'll go down by 10 inches, which is the distance from my shoulder to my bust. I'll also go down by 16 inches, which is the distance from my shoulder to my waist, and I'll rule a straight line across. The next thing I'll do is to take half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. I'll take that on my shoulder line and I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. After indicating the 1 inch, I'll go ahead and slant from that point into the neckline. From my shoulder line, I'll go down by 8 inches, which is half of my round armhole measurement, and I'll confirm that I also have 8 inches on that same line. Then I'll connect the dot into a straight line, and then I'll go ahead and rule a line across so that my armhole will sit on that particular line. On the center of this line that I just created, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. You can decide to go up by half an inch. And on my bust point, I'm going to take my bust circumference divided by 4. I'm going to place that. So I'm going to curve out my armhole like this. I'll curve from, let's say, the center of the armhole to meet the 1 inch and to meet the end. So in case you don't understand what I'm saying, just look at what I am doing. On that chest line, I'll also take my round bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll also place that. On my waistline, I'll take my waist circumference divided by 4. So I'll connect my dot from the armhole to meet the bust and from the bust to meet the waist. So before I forget, the length of my top is 20 inches. So I'm going to add 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll add 1 inch on the armhole, on the bust and on the waist, and I'll connect into a straight line. On the neckline, I'm going to take my neck depth for the back. We are drafting the back pattern first, which is 1 inch, and I'll take the width, which is 3.5 inches. So this top is not going to have a zipper, so the neckline needs to be wide enough so that my head can pass through. So I'll use my ruler to connect like this, and I'll cut. Now that we are done drafting our pattern, let's go ahead and cut on our fabric. I'll fold my fabric into 2 equal parts, and I'm going to place my pattern on it like this. I'll pin it all the way around, and I'll trace out what I have on my pattern. So after doing that, this is what we have, and this is our back piece for the top. And for the front, I'm going to also fold my fabric into 2, and here is the trick for the front piece of this top. I'll make sure that my pattern paper is sitting on the center front. Just watch me closely and look at what I am doing. So my center front is sitting, but then I'm going to move the rest part away from the center front. So I'm going to pin it down. So remember that the more you move it, the more your neckline is going to fall. Right now I've moved it by 7 inches. So this is what I have. After doing that, I'll use my chalk to trace out what I have on the other end. I know that you guys cannot see it because I'm using a white fabric. So if you're using another color of fabric, you can trace this out before you cut. So I'll go ahead and trace out what I have. So just look at the way I'm cutting so you don't go and mess your fabric up. And for the neckline, what I'll do is to draw a straight line to meet the neckline. So on this part that we moved our pattern paper away, I'm going to make it into a straight line with my ruler, and then I'll cut the straight line, I'll cut the neckline, and I'll cut the shoulder out. So I'm done cutting. What I'll do is to notch my shoulder so that I'll know that this is my shoulder line when I'm going to join it. I'm just going to notch it. So this is what I have. I'll know that this is the part where I have to join my shoulders together. After doing that, next thing I'll do is to go ahead and turn my neckline. So you can decide to cut out two and use it as lining, but I don't have enough fabric. I'll turn the back neckline and I'll also go ahead and turn the front neckline. So if you have enough fabric, you can go ahead and use it as your lining. It's going to come out really nice. So I've gone ahead to turn my neckline, and this is what it looks like for the front. I also did the same thing for the back. So the next thing I'll do is to join the shoulders of the front and the back piece together. So I'm just going to place it like this. Since I've already notched, it's very easy for me to locate my shoulders. So I'll go ahead and pin, and then I'll sew. The next thing I'll do is to cut out my sleeves. So this is my fabric, and my fabric is folded into four. On that other end that has an open edge, I'll go down by 6 inches. I'll go down by 6 inches, and then I'll indicate that. What I'll do is to cover up my sleeve from this end using my free hand. So this one does not have to be perfect. I'm just going to cut it out like this, and then I'll open the sides up. So once I open it up, I have two sleeves, and the length of my sleeves is 20.5 inches. I'll notch the center of the sleeves like this, and I'll open up my armhole. So this sleeve is obviously bigger than the armhole. So what I'll do is to run a gather stitch all the way around, and then I'll attach the sleeves to my armhole. I've gone ahead to do that, and for the base of my sleeves I also did the same thing. I went ahead to run a gather stitch. As you can see, I'll just go ahead and pull one end of the rope gently like this, and I'll gather it to the measurement of my wrist. And this is the band I'll be using. The length of the band is 2 inches and the wideness is 9 inches, which is my wrist measurement plus 2 extra inches for ease so that my hand can pass through. So after gathering it in place like this, I'm going to place my band on it, right side facing each other. I'll go ahead and pin, and I'll sew all the way around. After doing that, I'll repeat the same thing for the other end of the sleeves, and I'll close the side of the top, and I'll also hem my top. So I've gone ahead to sew everything in place, and this is the top. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Please don't forget to like, leave a comment for me. If you have any question, you can leave it also in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.